Section 8 of My First Summer in the Sierra. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. My First Summer in the Sierra by John Muir. Read by Adrian Pretzelis. July 20. Fine, calm morning. Air tense and clear, not the slightest breeze astir. Everything shining. The rocks with wet crystals, the plants with dew, each receiving its portion of irised dewdrops and sunshine, like living creatures getting their breakfast, their dew manna coming down from the starry sky like swarms of smaller stars. How wondrous fine are the particles in showers of dew, thousands required for a single drop, growing in the dark as silently as the grass. What pains are taken to keep this wilderness in health! Showers of snow, showers of rain, showers of dew, floods of light, floods of invisible vapour, clouds, winds, all sorts of weather, interaction of plant on plant, animal on animal, etc., beyond thought. How fine nature's methods! How deeply with beauty is beauty overlaid! The ground covered with crystals, the crystals with mosses and lichens, and low spreading grasses and flowers, those with larger plants, leaf over leaf, with ever-changing colour and form, the broad palms of the firs outspread over these, the azure dome over all, like a bellflower, and star above star. Yonder stands the South Dome, its crown high above our camp, though its base is 4,000 feet below us. A most noble rock, it seems full of thought, clothed with living light, no sense of dead stone about it, all spiritualized, neither heavy-looking nor light, steadfast in serene strength like a god. Our shepherd is a queer character and hard to place in this wilderness. His bed is a hollow made in red, dry-rot punky dust beside a log which forms a portion of the south wall of the corral. Here he lies with his wonderful everlasting clothing on, wrapped in a red blanket, breathing not only the dust of the decayed wood, but also that of the corral, as if determined to take ammoniacal snuff all night, after chewing tobacco all day. Following the sheep he carries a heavy six-shooter swung from his belt on one side, and his luncheon on the other. The ancient cloth in which the meat, fresh from the frying pan, is tied, serves as filter through which the clear fat and gravy juices drip down on his right hip and leg in clustering stalactites. This oleaginous formation is soon broken up, however, and diffused and rubbed evenly into his scanty apparel by sitting down, rolling over, crossing his legs while resting on logs, etc., making his shirt and trousers watertight and shiny. His trousers in particular have become so adhesive with the mixed fat and resin that pine needles, thin flakes and fibres of bark, hair, mica scales and minute grains of quartz, hornblende, etc., feathers, seed wings, moth and butterfly wings, eggs, legs and antennae of innumerable insects, or even whole insects such as the small beetles, moths and mosquitoes, with flower petals, pollen dust, and indeed bits of all plants, animals and minerals of the region, adhere to them and are safely embedded, so that though far from being a naturalist, he collects fragmentary specimens of everything, and becomes richer than he knows. His specimens are kept passably fresh, too, by the purity of the air, and the resiny bituminous beds into which they are pressed. Man is a microcosm. At least our shepherd is, or rather his trousers. These precious overalls are never taken off, and nobody knows how old they are, though one may guess by their thickness and concentric structure. Instead of wearing thin, they wear thick, and in their stratification have no small geological significance. Besides herding the sheep, Billy is the butcher, while I have agreed to wash the few iron and tin utensils and make the bread. Then, these small duties done, by the time the sun is fairly above the mountain tops, I am beyond the flock, free to rove and revel in the wilderness all the big immortal days. Sketching on the North Dome. It commands views of nearly all the valley besides a few of the high mountains. I would fain draw everything in sight, rock, tree and leaf, but little can I do beyond mere outlines, marks with meanings like words readable only to myself. Yet I sharpen my pencils and work on as if others might possibly be benefited. Whether these picture sheets are to vanish like fallen leaves, or go to friends like letters, matters not much, for little can they tell to those who have not themselves seen similar wilderness, and, like a language, have learned it. No pain here, no dull empty hours, no fear of the past, no fear of the future. These blessed mountains are so compactly filled with God's beauty, no petty personal hope or experience has room to be. Drinking this champagne water is pure pleasure. So is breathing the living air, and every movement of limbs is pleasure, while the whole body seems to feel beauty when exposed to it, as it feels the campfire or sunshine, entering not by the eyes alone, but equally through all one's flesh, like radiant heat, making a passionate, ecstatic pleasure glow, not explainable. One's body then seems homogeneous throughout, sound as a crystal. Perched like a fly on this Yosemite dome, I gaze and sketch and bask, oftentimes settling down into dumb admiration without definite hope of ever learning much, yet with the longing, unresting effort that lies at the door of hope, humbly prostrate before the vast display of God's power, and eager to offer self-denial and renunciation with eternal toil to learn any lesson in the divine manuscript. It is easier to feel than to realize, or in any way explain Yosemite grandeur. The magnitude of the rocks and trees and streams are so delicately harmonized they are mostly hidden. Sheer precipices, 3,000 feet high, are fringed with tall trees growing close like grass on the brow of a lowland hill, and extending along the feet of these precipices a ribbon of meadow, a mile wide and 7 or 8 long, that seems like a strip a farmer might mow in less than a day. Waterfalls, 500 to 1,000 or 2,000 feet high, are so subordinated to the mighty cliffs over which they pour that they seem like wisps of smoke, gentle as floating clouds, though their voices fill the valley and make the rocks tremble. The mountains, too, along the eastern sky, and the domes in front of them, and the succession of smooth rounded waves between, swelling higher, higher, with dark woods in their hollows, serene in massive exuberant bulk and beauty, tend yet more to hide the grandeur of the Yosemite temple, and make it appear as a subdued subordinate feature of that vast harmonious landscape. Thus Every attempt to appreciate any